I'm going to call speed in order. First item is roll call.
Alderman Bass.
Here.
Alderman Cleaver.
Here.
Alderman Headley.
Here.
Alderman Stratton. Here. Alderman Totten. Here. Alderman West.
Okay. Next item, the invocation led by Darrell Jones, Crossroads Church, followed by Pledge of Allegiance from Alderman Stratton.
It's great. God, we cannot begin this week without the knowledge that we are blessed. And we want to acknowledge that here tonight, in spite of our own personal struggles, in spite of our financial struggles, our emotional struggles, our health struggles, and we all have them. In spite of those, we are blessed. We're blessed to live in this country. We're blessed to live in this community. We're blessed to have the families that we have, and we acknowledge that anything good that we have comes from you. We acknowledge your sovereignty and your justice. And God, we know that all things work together for your good, according to your purpose. And so we claim that tonight. And as business is transacted on behalf of this community, I pray, God, that it would be done with sober vigilance and with all people in mind for the good of the community and for the good of your creation. God, give wisdom to our leadership, give discernment, and God, thank you again for allowing us to live in this place at this time and be here this evening. In the name of Jesus we pray. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, next item is the approval of the agenda.
No changes, Mayor.
Right. The next item is proclamations. I have a proclamation for Bob Dimmitt for acknowledgement for service on Planning and Zoning Commission.
Whereas, during the period of 2011 to 2019, Mr. Bob Dimmitt has served on the Planning and Zoning Commission for the City of Grain Valley, and whereas Mr. Dimmitt has been involved in multiple projects through the greatest degree of growth the community has experienced, and whereas Mr. Dimmitt was part of multiple recommendations to the Board of Aldermen for plats, zoning changes, capital improvement plans, and future planning, now, therefore, be it proclaimed, the City of Grain Valley and the Board of Aldermen and I, Mike Todd, acknowledge the outstanding service of Mr. Bob Dimmitt to our community.
Thank you for your service. Thank you.
Can you hold up?
All right, thank you.
Okay. Next item on the agenda is citizens' participation. We ask that citizens who wish to address the board come forward to the microphone and podium, and please give your name and address for the record. Do you have anyone who wishes to address the board this evening?
Mayor, before we start, I have a statement I'd like to present on that. First, we appreciate everyone's attendance at tonight's meeting. Obviously, there's a lot more faces here this evening than we normally would see. For those who are new to the Board of Aldermen meetings, the citizen participation section provides an opportunity for citizens to voice their comments or concerns to the Mayor and Board of Aldermen to city staff. The board does not directly answer questions or comment on topics of discussion. The city will take these items under advisement and will act accordingly with the comments provided. Thank you.
Anyone wish to address the board this evening? Seeing none, move on to the consent agenda.
Mayor, I move that we accept the consent agenda.
Motion by Alderman West to approve the consent agenda. Do I have a second? Second, Alderman Cleaver. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Seeing no previous business or new business, move on to presentations. We have a presentation from staff design this evening.
Yeah, Mayor and Board, as you know, we've been working on the community campus master plan for the better part of the year now. We did have our public meeting here a little while back, but we have tonight Jim Stufflebean and Mike Hewley, Jim from staff design and Mike from Helix, and so they will be presenting the master plan.
Thanks again. And as you can tell, I'm a little congested this evening, so I'm back up here, Mike Hewley, if I get congested, but, thank you. And our hope is to present to you tonight intent to present to you a final draft of your site master plan. And that has been a culmination, or is a culmination of several months of work. A lot of folks and groups have been involved in that. We're really pleased to present that to you this evening as we bring that to a close. It's our intent, I believe, at your next meeting to present the final master plan, hopefully before your adoption by the city. But I want to be brief because I know you have a lot on your agenda tonight, but I don't want to be too hasty. I want to be thorough, and I want to give you folks a chance to ask a few questions. But basically, I want to walk you through the process of a site master plan. Site master plan is a little different than, say, a strategic plan or other types of master plans, which may involve a lot of statistical analysis and a lot of numbers and crunching and all that kind of thing. A site master plan is really more about a process of figuring out what works best for you, with you and your community's input and help. So that's what we've been doing for the last several months. We've had a lot of input and help from the city staff who've been great to work with. Again, Teresa and all the folks sitting here and a lot of others that I don't have time to mention, but also those folks are involved in the building committee. We've had steering committee meet several times, which involve representatives from the school district, from the library district, from leaders in your community, business leaders and so forth. We also had a visioning session or workshop, which was instrumental in moving this process forward. So we've had those groups involved as oversight and advisors. So that's been really important as well. So, try to walk you through what we have included in your master plan and how we got to here. We've been conscious very much as we go through the process of the why, the what, and the how. And one of the big whys is why are we doing this to start with? And obviously, some of the goals that you can read here, and there's others, are to make your community a better place to live, to improve, to accommodate growth, to provide opportunity. So those are important focus elements as we move forward. A lot of that is involved in your comprehensive plan, which was developed and adopted in 2014, which set the stage for what we're doing now. So really, this master plan is an extension or a follow-through from that comprehensive plan. Through that plan, there were several focus issues, and these also came up in the survey that you did a little over a year ago. And we've stressed to the folks that we've been involved with and to the community forum that the city has been focused on these as well, not just on the notion of a new community campus or city services. Public engagement was a large part of this process. There were several events and situations where public was invited and allowed to provide input. One most recently, which Ken mentioned, was the community forum in October. We also had visioning sessions that I mentioned, National Night Out. We were here with a booth, the Green Valley Fair, the community development event. So there's been lots of opportunity and input from your community. Why? What's the need? And Simply stated, this building was designed, built in about 2000, almost 20 years ago, and it was designed for a community of about 5,000 people, of which you are now about 14 to 15,000, and projected within the next 10 years to be potentially in the mid-20s, 25,000 potentially. So this facility was not designed to be expanded or designed to be very flexible, and as well the rec center. So you're really, I mean, you folks know this, you have people who have their offices in the hallways. One key staff person had an office in a storage room with data closet. The police station has considerable substandard conditions, not enough room, not enough space for officers to do their job and for detainees to safely and securely provide those services. So obviously, these facilities are outdated and undersized. So the what is as much as where as anything. The city has been acquiring property at the former Nelson Farm or Snydebar Ranch or Farm, sometimes called. And if anyone is familiar with that, that's the property is outlined in red. That property has some significant historical background. We've talked about that, looked at that. And Marty Napier has been in a lot of the meetings and so forth, been instrumental in providing a lot of information, so we appreciate her input as well. So it's our intent to celebrate and to pay homage to that legacy as the project goes forward. The special features, or several special and redeeming features of the site, the open areas that you see with the large circle, the ridge, which is in red, which is really man-made, but still a significant part of the site. The old homestead or farmhouse, which is in the center, that's a significant part. There are nice views from that top of the hill, and the meadow down here, the drainage way. All of those are important features which we want to take in and take advantage of. There were several concepts studied throughout this process. 6, 7, maybe even probably a dozen of various doodles and sketches of different ways to develop the site. Focused on 3 that we took to some of the community meetings and events, particularly the most recent community forum. We took these 3 ideas and they were developed into site plan sketches, and overwhelmingly those folks at that community meeting selected option C, or which has been called the country lane, to move forward with. We also found that to be true in some of the other events where people would come by and talk to us at the Green Valley Fair, for example. Steve Potter, Director of Mid-Continent Public Libraries, he expressed a high interest in that scheme from the library's perspective. So we have a lot of input that really has been leading towards that. The Building Committee and Steering Committee have both endorsed and essentially recommending that scheme to move forward with in the site master plan. A couple of key reasons that's a successful plan, we think, is because the red S curve is the circulation path through the site, which implies a country lane. The main buildings are organized in somewhat of a triangle position to each other, with the house as a focus or a hub to organize all the parts of this campus around, still maintaining those open areas, respecting the slopes, the trees, and so forth, resulting in a sketch that looked like this, and this has been talked over and analyzed in several meetings. The building towards the bottom would be City Hall and Police and Municipal Court, and that's located on the Butner Carson side for good reason. Police need to come out of that facility fast and hot, as Chief says, with light and siren. We want that to be further away from residential areas if possible, obviously. So the other side of the site, the rec center and library, is the quieter side of the site, and plenty of room for buffering, for buffer area and some open space between that and the residential areas. That site is developed into a 3D model, which looks a bit more like this, and this actually is phase 1. This is the full master plan, which shows all the features that you would hope to develop over a certain span of time, which might be as soon as 5 years and probably 10 years. So the outdoor pool, for example, would not be in your phase 1 project. Amphitheater, some of the other park features would not be in phase 1. Expansion of some of these things would not be in phase 1. But we are planning for expansion. That is obviously part of the master plan. So this is what phase one would look like. And the house you see in the center with the blue rectangle, that blue rectangle represents a potential water feature, either a splash pad or a shallow park-like feature, or a spray pad with the water spraying out the little nozzles and so forth. Those are very attractive. And of course, the three main buildings you see, some park features, you see trail at the top. So that would be the extent of development for phase one. Phase two, then, within a few years, may include an outdoor pool, potentially an amphitheater, and other park-like development on the site. Phase three might then involve additional fields and park-like features as this full site develops. Phase two and three are not locked in. Phase three could come first before phase two. So a lot of that depends on how you folks want to grow and what opportunities you may have for funding. You could spend a certain amount every year and develop it slowly in increments. So it's not locked in that it has to be a phase two or phase three. But we do know that phase one is limited by funding, of course. So I'll show you a couple of bird's eye views of the site. And then we also have an animation I'll get here in a second. The country lane scheme, as you can see, gives a lot of opportunity for development of spaces between buildings, park-like settings, that have a lot of potential to be a really nice campus. I'm going to switch to the animation here, and let's see, how do I get there?
Just alt tab it.
Alt tab, that's it. You've done that. And then I can go to...
Do it. No, not
The
that one.
movie,
Yeah,
yeah.
couple
Yeah,
others.
that's right, that's right. Right there, light camera action. There we go. Sorry, old school, not as technology oriented, some folks. This is just kind of either a drone or a bird's eye, and by the way, Mike has a drone pilot. Putting in his slide isn't necessarily, but bringing you in from the north, from the Buckner-Tarsi side, this is the police and city hall that you're seeing here. The parking areas on the right of city hall would be for police and staff. Police parking would be a secure area, of course. This is bringing you down to the main approach to the facilities. This is reminiscent of the drive that is there now that runs between the trees, tree line drive. So that's important to us. And there will probably be additional trees and landscaping as this is developed. And we're swinging up, the rec center is on the right. The library is furthest to the left, just out of the picture, and of course you see a house, which we would hope to celebrate in some form of a silhouetted steel frame around at least part of the house. Also potential for part of the house to be retained, potentially as a coffee shop or perhaps a bike shop to relate to the trails and to the park amenities. So those are all potential. The library on the other side of the site, of course, that is a completely separate project, funded separately, as most folks know, just wanting to decide that. And again, this is what you would see for phase one. There is no outdoor pool next to the rec center, amphitheater, gazebo, some of the other park-like components which would be coming in future phases. Good. Back to our between these buildings, there's a lot of opportunity for some really nice spaces. Mike, you want to share it in?
You know, much of what you've been seeing that Jim has shown previously on these images is very conceptual. It's a big idea, the buildings are blocks, the landscape isn't quite developed. But these next two slides are what we call precedent imagery. It's not what will actually be at this site, but it's examples of outdoor spaces in other places that might be relevant to what we want to accomplish here. We've got three buildings on a campus, the connection for pedestrians, how you cross the street, the landscaping, the textures, an amphitheater. All of these are sort of relevant images to what we might find on this campus. And this gives you a look and feel of what that might be like. This next image is more of the exterior site and the connections between buildings. What does it feel like for a pedestrian to circulate from one building to another, or to use the park amenities that are around the site. And then the materiality of buildings. We have not designed the building. You haven't seen any images other than blocks. But this gives you some examples of the use of wood, of metal, of glass for transparency. So these are what we call look and feel images, precedent images. The campus and the buildings we feel like will be very similar to what you see in those images.
And as we go forward, our hope is to begin a design process very shortly so that a lot of these things will become more specific, more designed as we approach a potential for a bond issue next year. So we know the public wants to know what these things are going to look like. And right now, they're just white boxes. But the next phase of development for our services would be to develop and design those buildings. Another key thing I'll add to what Mike was saying is that our hope is, and you kind of get a flavor of that from some of these images, that there can be some reference to the agricultural and ranch images somehow, not necessarily literally, but mindful or remindful of the history of this site. So our hope is to do that as well. Timeline, I think most everyone is familiar with this, so I won't spend a lot of time here, but as I said, we are closing the master plan and would do that on the 9th. Our services at least would culminate by then. And then our intent is to go into a preliminary design process with board approval and authorization, of course, and leading up to potential bond issue in April. And then if that passes, we would then go into a final design process, preparing bid documents and so forth. If all of that works out the way it should, then you'd be bidding and construction and potentially completion of phase 1 in summer of 2022, give or take. Part of the process has also been, of course, how you do this or how much, what's it going to cost. The 3 main buildings, park amenities, are in the range of 37 to 41, give or take. And of course, your consultant in Account Gordon and our partners in this process, Chris Hess is here, by the way, with us. And his team, his folks, have been looking at numbers, assisting and attended all the meetings, advising on what the potential costs are. Some examples there are some of the spreadsheets, which we had several dozen, but that's been a part of this process as well, is to look at what the potential costs are. The master plan booklet is a draft right now, final draft, and it looks somewhat like this, and it has several components to it. Just laying out some of the pages, there's like 128 pages and probably more to be added to it. It's a living document, and you can add to it as time goes forward. But there's analysis in here of demographics that our sub-consultant Valerie King produced, some numbers and some of that statistical data that goes along with planning for a rec center and so forth. The existing conditions have been analyzed, recorded, detailed, and scrutinized, I guess you could say. The community engagement process, there's a lot of information in the booklet about that, and what the process we went through for that. Several of those events and some of the poster boards and some of the ways that folks were able to weigh in and give their opinion on things. At the community forum, one key thing that came out that was very interesting was the folks that attended, they were given a link to an app on their phone called Mentimeter and could vote on certain questions we had at that event. One of those was, would you support no tax increase bond? If you take the large blue and the yellow next to it, for folks who would either definitely support or likely to support, you get a number in the 70 to 80 range. 75% of those who answered this question were in support. So that's encouraging. It's not scientific necessarily, it's not a full poll, but it gives you a good read that these folks who attended that meeting were very supportive. We looked at programming to right-size the building, City Hall, Police, Rec Center, a lot of diagrams, charts, matrices were worked on with the building committee, steering committee. And then there, in the appendix, there are FAQs, which some of you may have seen and which are on the website, envisiongreenvalley.com. And more about the history, similar projects have been looked at, so there's a lot of stuff in this booklet. Good reading. So with all that, that's that's basically what we have produced and are in the process of finishing up for you within the next couple of weeks or so. And want to present formally, I think, at your December 9 meeting, or at least put this on the table for adoption. But at this point, open any questions the board may have.
Does the board have any questions?
One question I'm always asked, how long is this gonna take?
Well, it'll take a while.
That's what I keep saying.
As you saw from the timeline a while ago,
Yes.
this phase 1 would probably not be complete until summer of '22. So we're still about 2.5 years away. And that has to do with this coming year, we would start a design process, and that would take several months, 8 to 9 months. So it would not go out to bid until a little over a year from now, probably, after all the engineers and architects and everybody's done their work to prepare bid specs and documents, and to work with building committees and so forth to make sure it's designed right. So then construction starts, and that can be anywhere from a 15 to 18-month process, would be fair to say. Chris would nod his head. You probably would like more time.
I just told her that we didn't get to whittle our nose and it was done.
That's right. It's not a really quick process, but relatively speaking, I mean, it took hundreds of years to build the pyramid, so I guess we're very good in that.
Okay.
Anyone else have any questions? All right, thank you.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is a public hearing. Ryan Hunt has requested a public hearing pursuant to City Code 115.130. So, Mr. Hunt, you may proceed. You have 10 minutes to present your information to the board.
I'm making this statement, the board pursuant to the city ordinance section 115.130. I was terminated from my position as city administrator on October 25th, 2019, after serving in that role since 2014 and serving the city since 2009. During my tenure as city administrator, I was awarded the 2017 Business Leader of the Year, recognized by the Kansas City Journal as a local up-and-comer, revived the Economic Development Corporation, rebuilt stakeholder relationships between the school district, business owners, and other taxing jurisdictions. In addition, I led the largest period of commercial growth in the city's history, which is significant considering the residents always want that base to shift to commercial. Developments such as Fresh Shopper, Taco Bell, Temp Stop, Quick Trip, and multiple business relocations that resulted in a gross sales increase within Grain Valley of nearly $60 million of sales that to be taxed. Through this growth, the tax burden had shifted from the residential base to a wider commercial base. Just over the last 2 years, my administration was able to decrease the total tax levy by 12 cents, which should continue to drop as long as it's properly managed. It should be noted that I also worked here for 10 years with absolutely no verbal or written discipline. The city's termination of my employment was reckless as a steward of the public trust and wrongful for a myriad of reasons. I am not going to list the many potential causes of action at this time. Suffice it to say, there are causes of actions being considered against the city. This information and copious amounts of evidence continue to be developed, but at this time, I will not comment. What I will say is the following. I am a person with a disability. Notwithstanding my disability, I gave my exceptional performance to the city. The board Mayor, police officers, and city employees have discussed my disability with each other and members of the public. In 2019, a city police officer that is married to a member of the board began making negative and disparaging statements about me, including statements about my disability. This officer represented that he had the influence over the board, this elected body, to have me terminated. An internal affairs investigation intended to examine the officer's conduct appears to have placed me somehow at the center of the investigation. Numerous statements were made about my disability, including speculation, imagine that, about my disability. Based on the information and discrepancies that were presented to both the mayor and I that influenced the nature of the investigation, I suggested to the mayor that a neutral third party come in and re-examine the IA investigation or internal affairs investigation. Also in 2019, I became aware of conduct that I believed to violate the law. RSMO 105.005 encourages and authorizes me as a city employee to report conduct that I believe to be violations of policy or law. I reported the conduct to the mayor and asked to be allowed to present this to the Board of Aldermen. Accordingly, a special executive session was scheduled for August 1st, 2019 to allow me to report the conduct that I believed to be a violation of policy or law to the entire board. Approximately 2 hours before that meeting, Mayor Todd contacted me and told me I had been barred from the meeting. Rather, he was going to handle it. That was retaliatory. On September 24th, 2019, I was written disciplinary letter from the for breaching the confidentiality of the city while simply trying to perform my duties, identified clearly underneath Grain Valley Code of Ordinances, Section 115.150, titled Powers, subsection D, Investigate and Report, and I quote, "The city administrator shall have the power to investigate and examine or inquire into the affairs or operation of any department of the city under the city's jurisdiction or his or hers, and shall report on any condition or fact concerning the city government requested by the mayor and board of aldermen." Additionally, in the write-up, I was listed as playing unprofessional games. Throughout my employment and throughout the discrimination and retaliation against me, I continued to demonstrate the same work ethic and protection that I had always given the city. After I witnessed additional violations as well as violations of the state law, I requested a 30-day paid administrative leave on September 29th. It is important to note that I am not the first city employee to request or receive that leave. On September 30th, I was authorized for said leave by Alderman Bass, Alderman Stratton, Alderman West, and Alderman Cleaver. On October 3rd, the city held an additional executive session and voted to revoke my previous authorization to leave and place me on a 4-week leave of absence without pay. Additionally, I was revoked all physical and electronic access to the city. My city credit card was canceled, and I was deprived of rights related to my contractual employment by the city attorney. This, too, was retaliatory. I submitted a written complaint to the mayor on October 16, 2019, wherein I set forth about the disability discrimination, being barred from attending board meetings, and how the city's actions during my leave were retaliatory in nature, to which he never acknowledged. I was scheduled to return to work on October 28, 2019. My city vehicle was stolen from my driveway around 2:30 a.m. on October 25, 2019. Later that day, the mayor contacted me and told me the truck had been recovered. He asked me to meet him at the Oak Grove Police Department for the recovery. And when I arrived, the mayor handed me a letter of termination with cause. And said nothing except I was not getting the truck back and I was not entitled to my severance package. When I asked what the cause was, he told me he would not discuss it with me, but the letter would explain the cause. I disagree with the reasons for the cause of my termination set forth in the letter. And additionally, I want to say, cause one, failure to obtain educational requirements set forth by my contract by accepting raises for educational credit. This is absolutely false. I have never taken a raise for educational credits. In fact, since I became the city administrator, I have not gone to any more college. And that was well known amongst the board, or at least Mayor Todd represented that. Rather, it was standard cost of living or merit raises specifically included in the budget and approved by the board. Additionally, I have concrete evidence that Mayor Todd represented that the board was not requiring me to complete the 3 hours in 2018. Cause two, failure to rectify disharmony at City Hall. The letter of discipline was issued on September 24th. My last day at City Hall was September 27th. So, and in that meeting, both the city attorney and Mayor Todd said that most of the board thinks you've already been issued this because the environment has made a return so well. Keep doing a good job, Ryan. So, apparently, I'm being fired for within 3 days not rectifying the problem that was identified in the September 24th letter. Insubordination was also listed in cause two, whereby I subjected my direct supervisor to a profanity-laced tirade and refused to continue to report to the mayor, but only to the board. Again, that is absolutely false. The mayor subjected me to a profanity-laced tirade by claiming I circumvented the process for not going straight to him and him alone to ask for administrative leave. I advised the mayor that after the unethical and the dishonest behavior that I've witnessed over the last 3 months, that I no longer trusted him alone. So I would do as the city code says and my contract says and report to the full board. That means the aldermen and the mayor. This action resulted in the retaliatory action taken by the city that I mentioned earlier in the October 3rd executive session, whereby my administrative leave was revoked. I was barred from City Hall, locked out, and put on leave without pay. And then cause three, the best one, gross negligence by failing to meet my educational requirements as ordered by mayor for the year of 2019. In October, it was a full semester left. I was fired for not getting my 2019 credits. This again is not only false, but clearly targeting me, as I was required to complete 6 credit hours in 2019. I was terminated for not completing them before the year was over. As I explained to the mayor numerous times, I was enrolling in 3 hours of accelerated course credits for fall 1 and 3 more hours credit for fall 2 semester. I am very disappointed with those responsible for my termination, and I do not understand To the business owners and the citizens, I want to say thank you for the time that I've had at Green Valley. Thank you for your support. Thank you for being here tonight. Thank you for always having my back. To my staff members, I enjoyed working with you guys. Enjoy working with all of you. I'm sorry the way this turned out, for the commitments that we had to have pulled together a team and for this to be so recklessly pulled off. And finally, thank you, Alderman Bass, for opposing my termination. I sincerely appreciate that. To the staff and citizens, I am most regretful of the circumstance and what may come.
Thank you.
Very good. Thank you.
Next on the ordinances. I said it, I got drowned out.
Mayor, I move we make second reading by title only for Bill B-19-30.
Okay. I have a motion from Alderman Haley to approve Bill, bring up Bill B-19-30 for its second reading. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Alderman Totten. Any discussion? And then all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign.
Mayor, this is Bill number 19-30, an ordinance calling the election in the city of Grain Valley, Missouri on April 7th, 2020.
Mayor, I move we accept the second reading for Bill B-19-30, making it ordinance number 2482.
I have a motion from Alderman Haley to approve Bill B-19-30 for its second reading, making ordinance 2482. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Alderman Totten. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
This would be a roll call vote, Mayor.
Huh?
On the adoption, it would be a roll call vote.
Alderman Stratton?
Yes.
Alderman Totten?
Yes.
Alderman Bass? Yes. Alderman Headley?
Yes.
Alderman West?
Yes.
Alderman Cleaver?
Yes.
Mayor, I move we make first reading by title only for Bill B-19-31.
I have a motion from Alderman Haley to bring up Bill B-19-31 for its first reading. Do I have a second? Second, Alderman Cleaver. Any discussion?
Joe, did you want to give a little review of that?
Yes, Mayor and members of the board, what we have here in front of us, you may recall, it's been some time, but the city actually formed a community improvement district. This would be on the northwest corner of the interchange development, essentially where the proposed Quick Trip would go, and I've forgotten the name of the old, the place that was over there. There was
Roy's or McLeroy's, yeah, the red gas station.
Right. So essentially, we formed a CID over there, and over time we had been working to negotiate a cooperative agreement, and we commonly enter into these cooperative agreements because the CID itself is a political subdivision, like the city, with less jurisdiction, essentially. And so we enter into these agreements between, typically, it's a three-party agreement between the city, the community improvement district, and the developer who's responsible for it. This agreement was sent over, I think sometime last April, and I think just as a matter of cleanup here towards the end of the year, we did get comments back from the developer to bring that forward. At the time that we sent our comments over in April, they have accepted all of the comments that were suggested by the city, and so and I believe you have a more detailed staff report in your packet. But otherwise, we would recommend approval of this cooperative agreement, or at least going forward.
Do you have any questions, discussions? Okay. Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign.
Motion passes, Mayor. This is Bill number B-19-31, an ordinance approving a cooperative agreement between the City of Grain Valley, Missouri, and the Village of Grain Valley Community Improvement District.
Mayor, I move we accept first reading for Bill B-19-31 and bring it back for its second reading by title only at our next regular session.
I have a motion by Alderman Headley to approve Bill B-19-31 for its first reading, bring it back by title only for its second reading. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right. Make sure. All right. Any discussion? All right. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign.
Mayor, I move we make the first reading by title only for Bill B-19-32.
I have a motion by Alderman Headley to read Bill B-19-32 for its first reading. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Cleaver. Any discussion?
Mayor, members of the board, one of the issues that comes up as we're growing and having new subdivisions come into the city is there's a need to update our emergency snow route map. So if you recall, in a snow event, those roads are posted, and you're not to park on those roads, so we can get plows up and down. So they're the major roads that carry a lot of the traffic. So kind of the rule of thumb is wherever you're at in your house, you're not more than 2 roads away from one of those emergency snow routes, so you can get in and out, which has been working really well. But like I said, we did need to go in and adjust the roads that are included in the ordinance, so we can get those roads posted.
Any discussion? All right. Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign.
Mayor, I move we,
Sorry, 6-0, Mayor, that motion was approved. This is the first reading of Bill number B-19-32, an ordinance amending Section 340.190 to update the designation of emergency routes within the city.
Mayor, I move we accept the first reading for Bill B-19-32 and bring it back for its second reading by title only at our next regular session.
I have a motion by Alderman Headley to approve Bill B-19-32 for its first reading, bring it back by title only for its second reading. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Cotton. Any discussion?
Now, the snow roads and emergency, they're not allowed to have cars parked on the road, are they?
No, they're not supposed to when it's so that, yes.
Well, I had a lady complaining about a tow truck driver trying to pull a truck into her driveway this weekend, and there was cars on Walnut, and she said they could hardly get it in.
I'm talking about like during snow, I mean,
I know.
during
but
the, yeah. But they can park there when it's not snowing.
Yeah.
Okay,
When it's snowing, and we,
I know.
yeah, okay.
I just thought I'd throw it in.
All right. All right, any other discussion? All right, seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign.
6-0, that motion is approved.
Mayor, I move we make the first reading by title only for Bill B-19-33.
All right, I have a motion by Alderman Headley to bring up Bill B-19-33 for its first reading. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second. Cotton? All right, let's go.
Yeah.
All right, any discussion?
Mayor, members of the board, if you recall, we had 2 workshops for the budget on October 17th and November 4th, where we presented a draft budget, made a presentation, and answered any questions that you all had at that time. So what you have before you is that final version, which is a balanced budget for the 2020 year. So, like I said, it's taking into account all the changes that we discussed during those workshops. So, I'll answer any questions that you have.
All right. Do you have any questions or discussion? All right. Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign.
Mayor, that motion was approved 6-0. This is a first reading of Bill number B-19-33, an ordinance approving the 2020 fiscal year budget and comprehensive fee schedule of the City of Grain Valley, Missouri.
Mayor, I move we accept the first reading for Bill B-19-33 and bring it back for its second reading by title only.
Okay. I have a motion by Alderman Haley to approve Bill B-19-33 for its first reading, bring it back by title only for its second reading. Do I have a second?
Second.
Alderman Cleaver. Any discussion? All right. Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign.
Mayor, that motion was approved 6-0.
Next up is resolutions.
You want to read these one by one
Huh?
for planning and zoning?
Do we have to read these all separate? We just-
You could actually do these in a consent agenda. We were talking about that in the staff call earlier today. What you could do, because resolutions are not required to be read by title the same way that ordinance would, you might be able to go through and just summarize the appointments that you're about to make, and then you could actually vote to approve all of the resolutions at one time if that would be more efficient for you.
So, make a motion to go resolution R-1942 through R-1945, because 46 is a new appointment, right?
Yep.
With all those reappointments for 4 years? Right, motion made by Alderman Headley. Do I have a second?
Second.
Right. Got a motion by Alderman Headley, second by Alderman Bass to approve resolutions R-19-42 through resolution R-19-45, which are reappointments for 4-year terms for the Planning and Zoning Commission. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign.
6-0, Mayor, those resolutions were approved.
Okay.
Mayor, I move we approve resolution 19-46.
Okay. I have a motion by Alderman Headley to approve resolution R-19-46. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Alderman Bass. Any discussion?
Just that with Mr. Dimmitt deciding that his time with us is done on Planning and Zoning Commission, we did have a vacancy and we did have an application for that, and it was Paul Loving.
Have any discussion on that? All right. Seeing none, then all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. All right.
Mayor, that resolution is approved 6-0.
Mayor, I move we approve resolution R-19-47.
Okay. I have a motion by Alderman Headley to approve resolution R-19-47. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Alderman Totten. Any discussion?
So this is that step that we have to go through, what was KCP&L, now Evergy, but when a new subdivision comes in, part of the development fees that the developer pays up front is for streetlights that are included in that development. So after it goes through the plating process and we send everything over to Evergy, they send back kind of mapped out where those streetlights are going to be, and then the board has to approve it. So like all the others, this is a monthly fee, and there'll be 13 in this phase.
Is this the new lights or the old ones that stand up?
Well, so everything that's going in now is the LEDs.
Go for a ride down my street at night.
All right. Any additional discussion? All right. Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign.
Mayor, that resolution is approved 6-0.
Okay. Next up is City Attorney's report.
Mayor, just a quick report for you this evening. First of all, hope everybody has a great Thanksgiving, and related to that, just wanted to note that our office will be closed this week, Thursday and Friday, which I think is similar to what the city is, except for, sorry, Chief. I know you guys have to
What
work,
if I have
so-
to call somebody?
You
You have to call.
I'll have my cell phone on me if you do need anything. It happens from time to time, so we would be available if an emergency arises, but we won't have anybody staffing our office on Thursday or Friday.
All right, no Black Friday sales with the Auburn Municipal Firm?
No, I guess not. Sorry, didn't get any of those put together this year.
Half price legal advice or something on Friday, so. All right, next up, City Administrator and Staff Report.
Our Community Development Director, Mark Trozen, is on vacation this week, so we actually have Dick Tuttle, our city engineer, stepping in for him tonight. And Jamie, did these get passed out to?
Yes, we did.
Okay, so you have the written report from Community Development, and then we will turn it over to Shannon for his report.
Mayor and Board, just a reminder, Thursday, December 5th, is our annual Mayor's Tree Lighting and Holiday Festival here in Armstrong Park. It starts at 6 p.m. Again, we have the middle school choirs coming out to sing. Santa will be there, and so we're looking forward to the event. Our park is just about complete with all the decorating and the lights and so forth. Park maintenance was able to finish the garland and the bells and bows that are on the light poles on Main Street today. So Main Street is done, and hopefully the weather will cooperate. We're looking forward to a nice evening. If you know of anyone that's interested in helping out and volunteering their time that night, Sarah, right over here, please get in touch with her and let her know. That's all I have.
Those are all the reports from staff, Mayor.
Okay. Board of Alderman reports and comments. Alderman Stratton.
Nothing at this time.
Alderman Totten.
Nothing at this time.
Alderman Bass.
I have nothing at this time.
Alderman Headley.
Nothing at this time.
Alderman West.
Nothing at this time, Mayor.
Alderman Cleaver.
Nothing at this time.
All right. Next up is Mayor's report. I thought we did this. So December 24th. I thought December 24th. I thought we did this last year. We never made it official? Okay. So December 24th, typically the last couple of years, the board has went ahead and closed City Hall on that day. I thought we were going to officially put it in the whatever, the personnel policy or whatever, but I guess we have never done that.
It was not. It's just been done on an every year basis, so.
Okay, so really typically we need to do it on this year's basis and then make sure we add it for next year, correct?
Yep.
So is everyone okay with keeping that and closing City Hall down then on Christmas Eve?
Full day?
Yeah, they typically do.
Yeah, okay.
We need a motion for that then? We need a motion to do that, okay?
Yeah.
I entertain a motion then to go ahead and adjust the calendar this year to where City Hall offices will be closed on the 24th.
So moved.
Motion from Alderman Headley, second Alderman Totten.
Yes.
Any discussion then? And then going forward, you'll put something together where we can adjust it for future years, don't have to do it every year.
Yeah, it's in the handbook, and actually, the handbook is something that we are looking at completely revamping this
Okay,
next
so
calendar year, so that can just be another thing that's added in there. That was one of the items in the budget for next year.
All right.
I don't know if you want to, the other one that comes up is New Year's Eve, and not like a day.
New Year's Eve, we just like closing out early, right? I don't know.
So, well, what it really comes down to is if we kind of do the same thing every year, you have staff members that one way or the other kind of
Well,
count on it or
let's
start
do that
asking.
one next, we have a meeting in December, let's do that one next meeting. What time did we, was it like, was it 2 last year?
Yeah, I think we were here for the
I
majority of the
want to say 2.
days.
It wasn't like a full half day.
I want to say 2, okay. So be thinking of that on New Year's Eve, closing at 2, we'll discuss that at the next meeting if we want to adjust that, so. Anybody have any other discussion then on the 24th? If not, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. All right, that's all I have. I believe we have a need for an executive session for items under, what we got, Joe, personnel and legal.
Litigation, so subsection 1, litigation, subsection 3, personnel, and subsection 13, individually identifiable personnel records.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion then to adjourn the executive session for those items.
So moved.
Motion by Alderman Headley, second. Second, Alderman Stratton. Any discussion? All right, Alderman Stratton?
Yes.
Alderman Cotton?
Yes.
Alderman Bass?
Yes.
Alderman Headley?
Yes.
Alderman West?
Yes.
Alderman Cleveland?
Yes.
All right, we'll adjourn the executive session.